So the Remarkist project has really been growing in such a fun way, and very unexpectedly, to be honest. I mean, I thought that it would be really fun for some fans, but and fun for me to watch the show with fans, but just a lot has happened in the month and a half, almost 2 months, I guess, since we started this. We have an app for this project at remarkist.com. If you didn't know that, I would suggest that you maybe go to remarkist.com and get it. It's an app, pretty much as you would, be familiar with most apps. The only difference is that you don't get it from the App Store. You actually get it at the website. All you have to do is sort of add that site as a bookmark on your home screen, and it just appears as an app on your home screen like any other app, and it's super easy. Once you have the app, I would recommend that you get an account, that you sign up for it, because there's lots of really, really fun stuff that is on the way, stuff that I've been working on for weeks. And one of those things I'm dropping tonight. It's called Mementos, and it's essentially a badges mechanic for our project. It's a collectibles game. We are going to henceforth, not always, but every once in a while, we will be collecting badges or mementos, I call them, created specifically for events. And so the idea is that a host, somebody who creates an event, in this case, the host for this particular event is me, will be able to create, when they create the event, they will be given the option if they would like to create a memento set. And I say a set because, unlike most badges on other social platforms, these actually are limited edition. So there's only a certain number of any one badge. And so the first to grab them are the first to essentially have them, which is fun. I think is fun. That's, it kind of speaks to my heart. I was a comic book collector. I was a baseball card collector. And so I like that kind of stuff. Really, like the basics of it is that we're just collecting these things, and they represent the event that they were created for. So in a way, they're kind of also like, keepsake, a souvenir for a particular event that you may want to remember. But they're also going to have some other special utility, and it's the reason why I say, if any of this interests you at all, I would get the app and I would sign up for an account, because you can't play this unless you have one. Mementos will be a way that will allow hosts to do other things with those mementos. That's to say that the mementos are going to be able to be used as sort of like vouchers or tickets to things. So, for example, hosts might be able to use mementos that they've given out at a previous event as sort of tickets for maybe a very special event, right? That could be a special event on platform, right? Like an event here on Clubhouse. It could also be an event in the real world. Like, for example, maybe all of the holders of a particular memento are invited to a special dinner or a special meetup with that host. They can also be used as vouchers for like prizes and gifts, or the ability to sort of maybe, be one of a certain number of people who can buy a certain limited edition physical good, like a t-shirt or whatnot. We have actually a lot of community members who are super brilliant creative artists that have been creating all kinds of fun, t-shirts and mugs and whatnot. And this could be a way to actually make some of that stuff even more exclusive. And there's going to be a lot of opportunity for that. I know that I have some really cool special events that I'm planning for the coming weeks, maybe months. I don't want to say too much, but it's going to be really fun. And it's only one half of a larger game mechanic that's going to be coming before the end of the month. that will sort of add that second component to the whole thing, which is how we actually create these mementos. So right now, I'm the only one who can create the mementos, because in order to create the mementos, you will need something else that's coming to the platform within the coming weeks, a sort of reward credit, reward currency for engagement on the platform, for coming to events. We're going to start RSVPing to events in the coming weeks, which will help with some of the questions of who gets on, who can make it onto the couch and whatnot. It will also help us get a better sense of who was there at our events, and really important, who was on the couch, because it will be important for us to know who is contributing to these conversations. That will probably be something that I talk a little bit more about when this other mechanic comes before the end of the month. But tonight we are dropping mementos, and tonight we are going to be dropping 2 mementos. One of the mementos, as I said, mementos will always be attached to an event. So the place that you claim the memento is on the event page for that particular event. So for example, tonight we have a memento for this event. I have not officially dropped it. I will in a little bit. Once I do, if you go to that event page, you'll see it there. However, in order to claim the memento, you'll need a password, which I will also give you during this event. If you have the password, you go there, you can claim it. The memento that is for this particular event tonight is called Hep Strings. It's one of 5 mementos that I actually have planned that I will be releasing over the course of our run, 1 per season here on out. I'm sure you can guess what each of them, they will all start with Hep, and there will be another part of it. And that memento, I'm going to actually release the password at the end of the night. Although maybe some of you could guess the password. That might be kind of interesting. I might actually activate the memento before the end of the night and see if anybody actually figures it out. The second memento is actually a memento that I've created for the larger project and for you, the foundation of this project, the foundational community. And it is not on tonight's event. It is going to be on a previous event. So you will have to, and I'm not going to tell you what previous event, so you have to go into the app and you have to find it. Although, again, when I tell you the name of it and maybe the password, some very clever Gilmore Girls fans might figure it out. And I'm going to actually do that at 7 o'clock, right before we start. I'm going to activate that memento, and I'm going to give you the password, and folks can go and grab it. That memento, there are 100 of them. The one for this particular episode, there are 75 of them. That should be enough to accommodate the number of folks who usually come to these. We'll see. The name of the other memento that is hidden in a past episode, the name of that one is called Original Townie. I'll let you sit with that for a second. I'm going to open up the couch now, and I would really love to see, I mean, and I don't want to pressure anybody, because if you don't feel comfortable coming up onto the couch, it's totally cool. It has to be when you feel ready. Everybody's ready at a different time. But I do know that there are sometimes new folks that try and get on, and because of how fast everyone, now vies for a spot on the couch, it can be very difficult. So I'd like to just give a few moments for some new folks to get a chance to hop up on here. And I'm going to open that couch right about now. Nikki Jackson, Cynthia Martinez. Wow. Oh, goodness. Okay. A lot of folks. Okay. I'm going to do 7 folks in order. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, and let's see here. Oh, there we go, Jess.
Welcome, Kendra, Cynthia. Hi, everyone. Hi, John.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. Now, because a bunch of vets have Megan Martin. I've not seen you on the couch. It's actually a little hard because all of you are very awesome. You all change, or a lot of you changed your profile pics to a picture of Brian, which is absolutely sweet, but is difficult for me to immediately tell who is who. So I may have
when you were going to
brought...
notice.
The
Mustache twirl.
Okay.
Mustache twirl.
Oh my goodness, Mary. Okay, so I've got to actually, let me close the couch off again. Sorry, closing the couch for a second. Mary.
It wasn't my idea, but I really loved it. Once I heard it, the mustache started right away.
I know, but no, I was just saying that I thought that we were only going to bring up, for the time being, we were going to just bring up old folks, like new folks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Okay.
You may have gotten here a little later. So I am about to open up the couch again. I'm gonna actually. Are there any folks here on the couch that are vets?
I'll go.
You're a vet?
Yeah, I'll go. Totally.
Okay. Let me just. No, I think you should apply for a spot again. I just wanted to make it fair for those who truly have like kind of held off actually raising their hand because they're vets. So like Mary, I'm gonna drop you down to the audience, and then I'm going to open the couch again. Absolutely, try and jump back up.
That's fine. No
All right.
problem.
All right. And was there anybody else that asked to? All right, this is good.
You can send me back, John.
Oh, Nikki,
I misunderstood. I thought everybody was raising their hands and you were
No.
just going to pick new people. So I apologize.
No, well, that's the hard part about it is that I really truly couldn't tell because you're usually Nikki, JJ, and
Yep.
your profile picture, which is quite awesome, an amazing profile picture, by the way. Threw me off. I was like, oh, this is a new person.
Sorry about that.
No problem. All right. I am now opening it up again. Try and buy for the couch. Sorry, folks. All right, there we go. Oh, hi, Nikki. Here you are once again. Everybody, Diana did it too. Everybody is completely throwing me off with their profile pictures. Oh, I love it. I'm so sorry, but there are so few folks that are going to be able to get onto the couch here. And I love you all. I truly do. It's so
It's too early, man. Hey, fellow Brit, it's so early.
all right. That's
John,
it.
I just like to say I'm not a morning person, but the fact I'm awake at, I woke up for 2:45 a.m. alarm proves how much I like you.
Thank you so much. For the folks here that are up on the couch, did you guys hear enough about the whole like memento thing, or did anybody come late and not hear about it?
I missed how to, I guess, redeem it.
Yeah, you'll redeem it on the event page for the event that the memento was created for. So there's a memento that was created for tonight's event. So you'll find that on tonight's event page in the app. But then there was also another memento, special memento that I created called Original Townie that is going to be in a previous episode. And by the way, if you've already gone into the app looking and you're like, oh, it's not in that episode, I haven't dropped it yet. So you don't go searching for it until I've dropped it. Like if you thought like, oh, I know which episode that is, And then you went and you were like, oh, it's not there. Check again when I drop it, because when I drop it, that's when you'll actually see it there. And then you'll need the password, which I'll give you. And I'm gonna actually release that one right before the episode and before we start the watch, and I'll give you the password for that as well, and I'll give folks a little bit of a head start. I'm gonna try and grab one myself. They are numbered in order of who grabs them. So,
when you say go to the event page, you just mean click on the episode on the schedule inside the app?
Yeah, that's the event page.
Okay,
For tonight's, you would always see on the day of an event, the event page loses its photo and is replaced by a timer, which is the timer that will be used in the episode. So you'll always know it's the event page for that particular episode or that particular event.
Okay.
If it does that, well, only that only applies to watches. If it's a gab session event, then it won't. But yes, that's the one. So that particular one, you would go there. But the one for tonight's event, I'm not going to do that one until the end. So that one's going to drop like at around 8:30ish. I'll tell that to everyone. So that one will be like folks who stick around. If you're like, oh my gosh, like for example, Meg, you're like, I can't stay till the end. That's okay. Just ask somebody if they'll give you the password, and then redeem it when you wake up. If it's still there.
I don't think our scripts are going to be awake.
If it's still there, which I don't know. I also want to make a mention of, there are a lot of male faces on the couch tonight. Most of them are my face. However, there's also a male face that I'm sure some of you are like, who's this Anthony guy? So Anthony is one of my oldest and dearest friends from Chicago. He and I actually, we were founding members of a theater company that is actually still there in Chicago, an amazing company that does incredible social work, like incredible work, like community driven plays and just as a really cool company. And he called me today, and I was just chatting with him about the project a bit. He knew about it, and then he said, I want to come, and he wants to jump on the couch. And Anthony and I met. This is an interesting story. Anthony and I met on the very first film project that I ever acted in, ever, which was a student film in Chicago. We met on that film, and that's where our friendship began.
Do you have a copy of this film?
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, he does, and cannot. It is
a Dungeons and Dragons film called Role Play. John's imagination got the best of him. Hey, everybody, happy to be on the couch with you. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah, it was a student film, so it's got all the fun things that you would imagine a student film to have. Yeah, and it was about Dungeons and Dragons.
I have seen dumber films at my sister's film school, so I'm sure it's wonderful.
Well, like at the very end of the film, my character sort of a coming of age story. My character kind of just, gives up his, Dungeons and Dragons addiction for a girl. And at the very end of the film, I throw my dice over a bridge, into the water, like, symbolizing that I'm like, letting go. And you can just see like a shot of the dice falling with fishing line holding the two dice as they're falling. And I remember when it was being shot, I was thinking to myself, that's not going to look good at all. And I even said, I was like, is that gonna? They were like, oh, well, don't worry, we're gonna, it's gonna look great, like once we get it through post and whatnot. And no, sure enough, I mean, you can just see the two fishing lines on the dice.
But there was that one character that had a Thor-like vibe, and he had some ridiculous. You remember this? He was like,
yeah, well, he was like, he played my character, like manifested in real life. Like my imagination was like, you know, my character was like sort of coming to life, and you know, I think that I played a bipolar manic split personality type guy.
but he had a line that he said that we used to say for a decade. I can't remember anymore.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Okay.
All right. So those of you who have just joined us, I am going to right now. I'm going to go into
John.
Yeah.
Sandra and Stella are here with me, and Sandra remembered the line, and it was, "Well, that sounds boring."
Oh yeah, that's right. That sounds boring. Yeah, that's right. All right, I'm going into the app, and I'm about to drop the memento for this past episode that I mentioned to you. So you'll have to go into past episodes to find it, and I'm about to drop it right now. Okay, the memento has been dropped. It is there in that particular episode. If you were already in that particular episode's detail page, I would actually leave it and come back in just to make sure. The password for this particular memento is one word. It's one word, even though it sounds like two words. It's good. This is going to be one word, all lowercase. Lamp slide, like lamp, like a thing that you turn on to light a room. Lamp slide. Lamp slide. That's the password. Write it down. If you know where it is, go grab that memento.
I found it.
Who found it?
Kendra found it. I found it.
I have it and claimed it too.
Nice.
I was actually at the event page when you said the password, so I was probably the first one who grabbed it.
Nice. Well, you can see, because if you go into your profile, you'll now see a little thing, a display that like says mementos, and you'll see that memento there. And if you click on it, it'll open it up and it'll give you the details, including which number you ended up getting.
I got fixed. And of course, the iPhone likes to capitalize the word, so I had to go back.
Yeah, you got to be careful about that. The number of times that I've typed in Remarkist.com and had to like which I know it's not a big deal, but I just hate seeing a website address with a capitalized first letter. So just the number of times that I've had to just change that has been. I mean, I must do it every single day for the past 2 months.
Yeah, that autocorrect is really getting to me.
So,
Sorry, where do we see it, Don? It says that I claimed it, but I don't.
oh yeah, go into your profile, which is the third button on the bottom. Right? You have a button there on the lower right. That's a little
Yep,
person.
and I'm not seeing it.
I did get number one.
Hillary. You're not seeing it. Is the little gear icon in the upper right turned on? If so, you have to turn it off, because then you're in edit.
Oh, that's it. Thank you.
John, do you want to know who was number one?
Hillary.
We're seeing it as Chris.
Who?
Chris.
Chris is number one?
That's what she has.
Oh, and Hillary, yours says number one as well?
Yep.
Great.
We passed her first.
All right. Well, that sounds like an error in the system that both of you literally got it at the exact same time. And so the right. Well, there you go. There are going to be 101 of these now. I wonder if anybody else got number one as well. I just got a text message from, I'm going to just say it because I just think it's funny. I got a text message from my buddy Sheev, with just a lot of laughter. Sasha got number 35.
I just say I'm so happy I woke up. I'm all about collecting things. So just exciting. Makes it worth being awake.
That's
It's the little
fun.
things that amuse you, I swear.
That's funny. Well, that may happen again tonight, I guess. I have to think about how to fix that. What's the solution? Because it seems as though both of you literally claimed it at the exact, like pressed your buttons within a second of one another, and the system was still calculating and calculated one for both of you.
I wonder if I calculated one for both of us and then skipped two.
Maybe both of you like close the app and then go back and see if it does something.
Doubtful.
Let's see. Let's refresh.
Yeah, John, is it the ID number or like the number out of 100 or
It's the
75 or
it's the ID number. It's the ID
okay,
number.
the ID number.
Yeah. ID number, and then you'll see next to that, you'll see how many have actually been claimed. I don't even know. Like I can. Oh my God, I didn't even claim mine. Oh shoot.
Yes, there says there's 39 that has been claimed.
Okay, great. I'm gonna claim mine.
I'm 29. So it's actually Regina that has a screenshot of number one.
Oh, Regina has also has number one.
No, we thought it was Chris, but it was actually Regina. Oh no, Chris is saying she does too.
Oh my God.
I'm so confused.
You broke your app, John.
Thanks for breaking the app.
Somebody says 29. Mine says 2.
Yeah.
I can't find mine.
Mine says 10, so I'm all good.
Mine says 10 too. I don't know.
I'm number 6.
Oh my gosh, that's very funny. Well, it looks like, well, what's going to end up happening is actually it's not, there's not going to be 100, there's still going to be 100 of them, because the way that it's coded, it will be able to count that 100 have been claimed. But there are going to be multiple IDs. So the best thing that I can do is look at the timestamp, and I might be able to use that to adjust numbers. So the timestamp might have a split second difference between people, in which case I'll adjust the numbers that way.
So John, you'll notice our different avatars tonight, obviously.
Yes, your avatars are epic.
So this was actually Diana's idea late last night, and myself and the other moderators of the Bag Boy group took her idea and put it out into the world to make it happen.
I love that. It was very confusing though when I was trying to figure out who the new folks were. I was like, wait a second. There's just,
which I'm so sorry, that was not.
It's just all you.
We just wanted you to like come on and like just see the sea of support for you.
I love it. No, I'm totally laughing about that. I love it.
As soon as it started happening, I was like, oh God, I didn't think that this was going to make it confusing. So I apologize for that. The intent was that we really just wanted to show our love.
No, I'm totally joking. I think it's absolutely awesome. There was nothing about that was that weird or difficult or anything. It was just funny. I'm actually just very quickly checking to see what the heck happened. There are lots of people who claimed, and how are the numbers here? Where are the numbers? Oh my God. All right, I gotta do this again. So everyone, you're gonna find out what your number is tomorrow. I will be able to, I can see who, I can't actually see who got what. I'm looking at the database right now, and it's all in order, right? So because of the way that I have this, it's all anonymous, so I don't know who got what, but I can see, I can just see all of them in order. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people who got number 1. 3 people who got number 10, 2 people who got number 12, 2 that got 17, looks like 7 who got 19. A lot of people claimed. So we've got 57 people who have claimed, who've claimed them. So over half of them are gone, but they are not in order. And honestly, I really don't know. I can't really say for sure. You know what? I'm gonna just really quickly. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna just really quickly, because I can do it right now. I'm gonna actually change them. Just the ones, the other ones, because I can do it really fast. The other ones I'll do later tonight. Sorry. And then just in a second, you'll all check again, and you'll see what your actual number is. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my God. I mean, that is just hysterical. That is ridiculous.
It's very weird that messed up, but I just saw the total number change live as I looked at it. As it went up.
Oh my God. And now, yeah, well, that's because just 2 more people actually just claimed. And those 2 people who claimed, their number is correct. So it really just has to do with the fact that you guys all just, first of all, can I just say, are all kind of brilliant Gilmore Girls fans who did not need much more than Original Townie and Lamp Slide to know exactly what episode it was in. It was just the fact that all of you just literally did it at the same time. And so
we didn't even need Lamp Slide. Original Townie was all we needed.
That's all you needed was Original Townie. Yeah. Okay, I just changed it. So at least the folks who all had number 1s, you'll now be able to see what you really do have.
So who's actually number 1? Because I dropped to 6. Who's got 1?
I don't know.
I think Regina.
I don't know who got number 1 because, as I said, like the way that it's all coded, you guys are just like every user is just like a random string of numbers that I don't really know who's who. So, but I was just able to just go down the line.
It's Regina.
Regina.
And you need to look at her avatar, John, because it is epic.
Where? Well, unfortunately, I might have a hard time finding it. Where?
She's
Regina, where?
3rd row down in the audience on the far left.
I've just seen it.
That's
Where
amazing.
did you even
So, like
find
for
that?
a moment there, I was like, when did we meet, Regina?
So like I said, this was Diana's
That's amazing.
idea, and then Regina like put this into place, and then it just brought it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
And actually,
All right.
Regina
All right,
says
folks.
she's number 5, so we don't know.
We're over 10 minutes now, and I still have to do my spiel. Just a quick shout out to anybody who's like, shoot, I'm not typing it in right. It's not working, which is what Babsy just did to me. She's like, is this right? And then I immediately knew you've got a space after the word. So if you typed in lamp slide, LAMPSLIDE, all one word, all lowercase letters, and it's not working for you, you got an extra space. That's it. That's the answer. I'm saying that actually to Ron or to my friend Sheev, who just sent me a message saying that. All right, everyone. We're a little over, but that's okay. This is a special night. Welcome, everyone. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, as you can see, this is a nutty little thing that we're doing. This is Remarkist. We're a community of folks who meet to watch our favorite shows together, virtually, but as if we're all in the same room, huddled around a television, passing wink winkers to one another. And the first show that we're watching is Gilmore Girls, a show that I was an actor in, but I never watched it while it was on the air. So I'm doing that now with fans of the series who have watched it probably so many times that they can instantly grab a memento when I say original townie. We are up here on what we call the couch, this group of 15 folks. It's what Clubhouse calls the stage, but we call it the couch. If you arrive early, you can raise your hand and vie for a spot on the couch. And what that means is that during the episode, you can speak like as if you were in the same room with somebody and you were watching an episode of something. You can talk about, the way that the characters are dressed. You can make snarky comments. I sometimes point out interesting production stuff. We have lots of really great insight into the characters, etc. It's that kind of thing. There's no rules to how much or how little we speak. Sometimes it's just dead silent. And if somebody were to come into the room, they wouldn't even know what we were doing. And sometimes it gets quite bubbly. If it gets too boisterous for you and it's hard for you to focus on the episode, just turn the volume on your phone down for a little bit until it settles down. We're always recording. Oh, I should say, if you're going to speak, there's a few rules that I like you to keep in mind. First, try and keep the volume on your television low enough that we can't hear it in the background. And if you're not speaking, keep your mic muted so that we can reduce background noise. Like I said, there's no real rule to how much or how little we speak, but we do try our best to keep our discussion to short sentences that we can squeeze in between lines so we don't disturb it too much. And if there's lots that we want to say, save it, because after the episode's over, we're going to stick around for about 45 minutes to chat about what we saw. And I'm sure we're going to have lots to talk about for tonight's episode. We are recording this event as always. If you don't feel comfortable with your voice being recorded, which will be on an archived recording that will likely be on the Remarkist app, available for folks who are not here tonight in the future. If you don't want to be a part of that recording, just simply don't speak or don't come up onto the couch. We sometimes do have snags. I think that we'll be okay tonight, but maybe I'm jinxing myself. If your internet goes out or you get knocked out of the room, don't worry, just come back in. If you were on the couch, you'll be back on the couch again. If your episode stopped playing and you're trying to figure out, where we are in the episode, pretty simple. For those of you who have just been in the app trying to claim the memento, you've seen there's a little timer there. That timer will start once the episode starts, and you can always see where we are in the episode through that timer. Of course, you have to be logged into the app, which means you have to have an account. And if you don't want that, you don't want an account on the app, you don't want the app on your phone, that's okay. There's another way to do it. Just tap on my avatar, go to my Instagram account, which you can find in my profile here on Clubhouse. There's an Instagram live feed that will be going that will also have the time code of the episode. It is about 10 seconds off, so it's not as ideal as getting it through the app, but it will work for you. We always jump past the previously on. If you're watching on the DVDs, on Netflix, that's not an issue because they don't have previously on, but if you're on the DVDs and there is a previously on, I don't know if there is, skip ahead. There is?
There is not.
There is not one, okay. Yeah, well, then good, then we don't have to worry about it. Hold on, sorry, for some reason, yeah. I'm gonna start my recorder right now. Actually, I just realized that Instagram Live is not actually live yet. I will do that right now. Sorry, Instagram Live. All right. Okay. So, as always, we are going to start our episodes. Let me go into this particular episode for tonight on the app. The name of this episode is One's Got Class and the Other One Dies, episode 4 of season 3. We're all going to start our episodes at the same time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
I love her parameters for deciphering what's a lie and not.
For some reason, I thought my memory was that that was our first rehearsal. It wasn't?
It's the first one we're going to see.
Yeah, I know, but I thought that was my memory was it was the first time that we were all even meeting. That just shows how little I remember. So for those of you who don't know, or well, I'm sure most of you do know, the reason why this episode is sort of special, all kinds of mementos being dropped and wink winkers is that this is the introduction of the band and the character that I played on the show, among a few others.
Hey guys, I have different headphones on tonight. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Perfect, thank you.
I have to be honest, you sound louder than you normally do. Like you're usually kind of a little muted.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Good to know.
It's a good sound, Louis. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. This early?
Here we go.
Oh my goodness. No way.
Hey!
I was not prepared for this.
Round of applause. What?
You've got the head bob down, Don. You've got it down.
I was just about to say that.
I'm harmonizing. London calling.
I love that.
How's your deviated septum treating you, Don?
Can men even have deviated septums, or is it just a female thing?
No, anybody
can
can.
have them. Anybody can have it. It's just a nose. Everyone has a nose.
Okay, well, it's just he said all women and me, so I was just wondering if it was a joke. Or
It's just a Brian thing for him to say that.
Would you expect anything else, Brian?
Man, I'm being extra porky in the back there. Oh, that was the part where I took it off in the audition. My space guitar, remember?
So wish we got Kurt's band. Look at you trying to ace Lane out of the band.
You know, I had more lines than I thought I did. I did sound different. I was kind of doing something a little weird with my voice that is kind of very.
I was gonna ask about
It was a lot higher too.
I feel like the Brian voice may have gone through an evolution from this first episode.
How old were you during this episode? Like when you first started?
I would have been 27, I think.
I feel like everyone's voice changed after that first episode as well. Like,
No. I think Todd was pretty consistent. He sounded.
Oh, yeah, he was all right.
Todd was like the one that was like exactly the same the entire time he was on the show.
Yeah, I'll talk more about all that scene in our post show. Just some of my memories from it and the voice thing, which I was sort of prepared for because I remember thinking that when I watched the episode for the first time. Didn't bother me as much as I thought that it was going to. Like back then, it really bothered me.
It's the baby Brian voice.
Just a little raspy. I was just doing a little bit of a raspy thing that I don't know why.
I just don't understand how Miss Kim has not found this room that's literally in her closet.
Same.
TV magic.
By the way, folks, Cholula and blue cheese dressing is real good.
She likes to yell.
There's a lot of tan going on in that kitchen.
That is such a bad wig she's wearing.
What is somebody who drives a Range Rover doing going to Stars So High?
She's a townie, clearly. I've never noticed how her hair doesn't move. That's so weird.
Yeah, I never noticed that either.
It really looks like a helmet.
At least Rory's hair looks good. I'm a big fan of her hair this season. I love all the curls that she gets.
Agreed. I love this ponytail she has in this episode.
I've always wanted my hair to do that, and it just wouldn't. So
I think we can all agree that Lorelei's hair this season is just a real solid upgrade.
And Rory has the curly ponytail, which is definitely an upgrade.
Yes, and I think that's definitely a choice that they made, right? Because Lorelei's had the curly hair for the past few episodes, and Rory's had the straight. Now there's that
well, and Rory's isn't even a ponytail. It's like a little twist-up fountain that has a clip in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has like one of those big like lobster-looking clips in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got one of those claw clips. This claw clip.
Yeah, yeah.
So does the whole town just know about Luke and Lorelai, will they, won't they? She
The two of you together?
She said 4 p.m. Our school gets out at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I can't believe they could be in school at 4.
I finished at half 4 when I was at school.
I think it's an after-school thing. I don't think they would free up class time for that.
By the way, I'd forgotten that I wanted to mention because it just was reminded of it. Keiko told me that season 3 is her favorite season.
It's got some good Lane storylines in it.
The It's always been my favorite too.
For a long time, season 3 was the only season I owned because my friend got an extra copy and she gave it to me. So I've watched this season probably more than any other season.
What's really interesting is that I remember this from the table read.
This annoys me.
I love that that's what qualifies party schools, girls and boys sitting together in the cafeteria.
Lane doesn't go to college, does he?
We'll see.
She goes for a little bit.
We'll see.
We will
No
see.
spoilers.
So
I love that by help her fill out the application, Miss Kim just starts doing it.
That other receptionist looks like a Target employee with that red shirt and badge.
I can relate to Lane with her parents picking her colleges because my parents picked the college I went to.
One of my favorite scenes.
I'm so sad they didn't film that.
Years of going to the school. Was their high school?
Yeah, I think he dropped out when his mom died.
Or it could be like my school's 9th grade was in junior high, so high school was only 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Same with my school too.
As if she would really let her go to Nicaragua.
Poor Henry.
Oh my gosh, I even remembered Henry. Oh, right, I remember this.
The background blocking is sublime.
I've dyed my hair rainbow once.
Is that Manic Panic?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know about purple, but blue hair is really hard to cover. My sister is a salon coordinator, and they dyed her hair blue for fun, and it took them months to cover it.
I used to have mine pink, and I remember like I'd gone for an interview for my current job, and my pink hair had faded, and I went back to start the job with bright pink hair, and they're just like, "What on earth have you done?"
Nice.
I had to cut it out. It was like, you have to get rid.
My hair has been every color of the rainbow, and I'm a weirdo. I'm not attached to my hair. So when I get tired of it, instead of covering it or pulling it out, I just shave my head.
That's pretty cool. I would look funny with a shaved head, so.
Oh.
Whoa. Jess is studying.
He's not really the reason I was like talking about this scene. You'll see.
What was that? What was that little moment there with Lorelai and Jess? Was that the fact that she saw that he was like, you know, being kind of studious?
Did you hear what she said?
Listen. He had a girl in the closet.
Well, I was like, yeah, he got to go in the closet. Let's go. How much bleach does she need? Her hair's pretty short.
I've always
virgin hair.
I've always wondered about the bleach. I wonder if it's shaving cream.
That is
That's
definitely shaving cream.
I mean,
and even though she has like really dark hair, nobody needs that much bleach unless your hair's like down to your ankles or something.
I mean, I dye my hair bright red. No bleach is that bit.
I went to cosmetology school, and seeing her apply this is driving me nuts. But she is 17.
Yeah, my sisters went to cosmetology school, and every time I watch this scene, I'm horrified.
It even tells you on the instructions and everything that you should part it.
Man, I will say, Keiko was very good with the speed.
That's very quick, you're right.
Are we gonna forget about the bottom half of her hair that they just haven't bleached?
Yeah, spotty. Oh my god, I'm cringing. What girl told Rory that? Considering Lane is basically her only friend. It's like how in the Barbie movies their hair never moves.
That's funny. Man, the hair. The hair.
I'm never gonna unsee that now.
It's like a Star Wars helmet. That's fun.
I like it when it's just them two, not like in the diner or the town, like the hospital waiting room, and then here. They have like a different dynamic.
Did you guys see the year that Luke won the award? It was 1984 was the year Rory was born.
Oh wow, I didn't catch that.
So he was winning that award while Lorelai was pregnant with Rory.
Man,
You
Rory is
actually have a
terrible at
Snoopy
dyeing
tattoo?
hair.
John, do you actually have a Snoopy tattoo? Because that'd be cool.
I do not have a single tattoo. And if I did, I wouldn't have a Snoopy tattoo. Sorry to disappoint. I'm in love with him. Oh.
Points to Rory for pointing out how awesome Lane is. Good friend.
Have you noticed like when they cut back and forth from Rory to Lane, like occasionally
Oh, wow.
the hair is half done and then suddenly it'll be like fully done, then it'll be half done again. Right there, half done.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is hilarious.
Now barely done. Now fully done. And now barely done.
How did I not notice that ever before?
Probably a little too focused.
Yeah,
on
it's just like it's two different
the
takes, you
subject.
know, two different takes. And in one, her hair had more of it on it, and the other one it had less of it on. But, you know, they used certain lines from one and certain lines from the other.
It's the evil right-handed desks.
This is a very strong hair episode.
A lot of bad wigs.
Whoa.
Ricky Lindholm, I love her.
Strange question. This seems a little off to me. I'm sorry. Does this seem off to anybody else that they'd be asking this? Was this ever at any point, like 20 years ago, was that kosher?
I think kids will do anything that you let them do, but I think it is weird.
I mean, but they're high school students, right?
Yeah, but
They love gossip.
They probably have always wondered what Rory's deal is, and now they have Lorelai under the microscope, and they can finally interrogate her. Because they all went to school with her growing up.
As a kid of a young mother, my mom was 14, and while they never approached my mother and asked questions, my friends asked me all sorts of weird, like, personal questions.
Okay, there you go.
But maybe Rory rebuffed them because she's such a loner.
Oh, get ready.
Hello, wig.
Yikes. It's the worst wig. Oh my gosh.
That is the wiggiest wig. The wiggiest wig, and then also the thought that it's going to go back to normal because the next episode that we're in together, I don't remember her having that hair. So
The one thing about this show,
Her whole hairline
another-
changed.
they just don't do wigs very well, ever.
It's so synthetic too. It's hilarious.
At least it moved.
It's like a wig you would get for Halloween at the Halloween, like, costume place.
I mean, could you get it back to black? Like back to the way it was? You could, you really could from like
Black covers anything.
from
Black
the
covers.
store.
Yeah.
I mean, I have bright red hair, but if I was to put like a black hair down, it'd be covered in 2 seconds. Like,
But like that is dangerous because then once it grows out, like, or washes out, it's gonna be really weird looking.
Well, I was gonna say, like, would look as authentic as it was before? Like, would her mom not notice
You would
that there's
notice.
something a little
You would
different
know her
about the
hair's
black?
just been bleached and dyed and then re-dyed. Her hair was like rise
It was
like a
dead.
desert. Yeah.
Well, some people get very lucky. I mean, I've dyed my hair rainbow many times and bleached it and permed it and unpermed it, and it's held up. I'm very lucky. I haven't lost my hair in patches because of how much damage I've done to it.
Just noticing that little scene between her on the phone with Jess, I suppose.
Yes, it's implied that it's Jess.
Man, you know, her character is just like, ugh, but she's so pretty.
She's even prettier now that she's all grown up.
I missed the episode with our introduction to her. Did anybody point out or like recognize her from when she was on Survivor?
That was great. That was really good.
She was on Survivor?
Yeah, she was on 2 seasons. Her first season, she took 3rd place.
Oh, that's cool.
I remember watching that season and trying to figure out why she looked familiar, and it was years after this.
PSP Lorelai's rockin' stilettos. I've always wanted shoes like that.
There's a reason they're walking so slow.
Oh, sweater. Stars Hollow Karen Brigade.
Wig Sarah.
Love that loop look.
That's a Red Bull.
But you'll notice that the label's turned away.
I don't know if you just noticed that, but it was turned towards him when they were moving it, and then turned towards the window here.
How is Shane in the closet and at work?
Thank you. I've said this 1,000,001 times. I don't understand.
That has always bothered me.
She jumped out the window, Lorelai style.
And went
Lunch
to
break?
work? Well, I guess she could have been on a break.
15 minutes, not that far from his place.
True.
What do you do in 15 minutes?
Suck face like a bunch of teenagers? I don't know.
Yikes.
Wow, this is cool. Oof, I'm gonna want to talk about this for sure in post show. Ooh, steady cam. I always
Yeah, I got dizzy.
Whenever it switches to steady cam, I always get dizzy because it's like. I mean, this kind of stuff is usually steady cam, like them walking forward towards it. It's when they start the steady cam from the side that's always weird.
I think it's more noticeable now that we have better technology.
Yeah.
That was such
All
a
right.
good Lane episode.
This was a really good Lane episode, man, oh man. That was fun. All right, I am going to open up the coucharoo for everyone who was down there and wants to hop on up and join us. Whoa, okay. We just got an influx of folks. Okay, this is going to be a real big post show.
Oh my God.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
45 minutes is not going to cut
Hello.
Hi,
Rachel.
Hello. Well, I can give y'all about 20 minutes, and then my dad will be here
Yeah, I'm going
tonight,
to.
so I'll hop off after that.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone.
I'm just
Someone
saying,
text me the
I was one
password.
of. You need the password, Amy?
I said I'm going to go to
Thank
sleep.
God.
Someone
for
text
tonight.
me the password for the next one because I can't stay awake.
Amy, I'll send it to you.
Bye,
Good
Amy.
Good night, Amy.
The sun's coming out, so that means
Good
it's
night.
bedtime.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Night,
Amy, thank you for joining us. That
Yeah,
was-
Amy, I'll DM you the password.
Thanks.
Good night, Amy.
Bye.
How was it, John? Great to hear.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, man.
Oh my God, that was going on.
Seeing yourself on TV talking about your deviated septum, was it awesome?
Oh, so
Wait.
we're starting there?
Wait, hold on. There are a lot of people that are coming up here on the couch. This is easily the biggest couch that we've had. Easily the biggest.
Definitely
and
not the first or last one.
not the first. They're going to get bigger and bigger we're still in season 3. We've got 5 more seasons to go. It's going to get bigger, but one second, let me just say something really quick before we start, just because we've got a lot of new folks here and we got a really big couch.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we limit the number during episode 15 is because that's actually the number of avatars that you can see on the screen without having to like move your screen around, which is helpful for seeing it. But after the episode, we let anybody come up on the couch. And so sometimes people will be speaking and you won't really know who it is because they're maybe really far down the list and you have to sort of scroll to find them, which can be a little complicated. Also, especially now that we have so many folks, it can sometimes get, a little rowdy if people start sort of speaking over one another.
so I'm just going to give you, for new folks, just a few sort of suggestions on how we do this second part, because I don't really like to be too stringent on rules. I think that if you feel a lull in the conversation and you have something that you want to say, or you feel like you can respond to somebody really quickly after they've finished their sentence, by all means, give it a shot. I don't want it to feel like really stodgy and forced. So I want this to really feel like a true conversation. And in real conversations, people can kind of judge when they have the opportunity to speak. That said, there are some folks who
We're not interrupt.
Say again?
We're not like interrupt either.
Yeah, try not to interrupt folks. Like I said, you sort of wait for that small breather, that happens at the end of a person's thought, that if you can try and get in. Sometimes two people get in at the same time, and that can happen. That's okay. If you're somebody who just sort of feels like, I don't really want to have to vie for that spot, we have a really clever way that we use for raising hands, and it's called mic flashing. It's basically when you do this to your mic. Everybody look at my avatar. You're just basically tapping your mic, slowly tapping your mic. It's our way of saying, I have something I want to say when there's a little opening. So what other community members will often be doing is sort of scanning the room to see if there's somebody flashing their mic, and they'll let the current speaker know, or they'll let me know, and that will allow me to sort of like put that person in queue next, and sort of like single them out, so that it's a little easier for them to jump into the conversation.
Or if you're crazy like me,
yeah,
life depends on it.
And look, I mean, we're gonna almost definitely be over 45 minutes. I mean, we're already at 8 o'clock because of how late we started. But our time is limited. So also be sensitive about how long you speak. That we don't want to monopolize too much of the conversation, because there are a lot of people on the couch, meaning there's probably a lot of folks that want to say something. And at a certain point, I'm going to have to go, and I want to make sure that everyone's had a chance to talk about what we saw. Where do we begin?
So, John, this is Chris. I'm down
Yeah.
a little ways. And that was me that was asking you, how did it feel to see yourself on TV talking about your deviated septum like the other women in your family? I like that line. That was funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to start there? Okay.
Yes, we are going to start there. It seems like a good place to start, right? I mean, it was the beginning of the episode. It was one of the first scenes in the episode.
I mean, everyone's Brian today for a reason.
Right.
It's the Brian show.
Okay, so here are some of my thoughts. One, I did not remember that it was that early in the episode, so I actually was completely unprepared. I kind of thought I was going to have a little bit of a breather, and that like I would, my anticipation was going to, and literally was like, oh my gosh, London Calling. I remember that. Okay, so a few things. One, the voice. My voice definitely was in my head, like a little bit. I remember right after doing that episode, and it's probably why I had a hard time watching myself on the show after, because I just remember being bothered by this raspy thing that I was sort of putting layering over the top of the character. I kind of felt like I was doing a little too much with my shoulders. I was like really kind of being quirky, whereas I think that, well, I hope, I mean, we'll get to it, and I guess we'll see. I feel like later I sort of like kind of become more what I remember Brian to be. But it didn't bother me as much as I remember it bothering me when I first saw the episode. And I remember that was probably part of why I just like didn't really want to watch episodes anymore, because I just knew I was just getting in my head. I mentioned this last night, I'm from the theater. That was where I, really kind of cut my teeth. And so, that was new for me. That was like one of the first things that I had
that I had actually ever done, aside from that Dungeons and Dragons thing that I did with Anthony.
Now that sounds boring.
Yeah, that's right. So, we're just not used to that. Like, stage actors are just, first of all, as I mentioned yesterday, we like, the process of preparing for a role in theater is very different than in film. And then the process of actually performing it is like worlds different, right? Like, in a theater piece, you really just like are in that role for like 2 hours. And on sets, you might say 3 lines and then they call cut. You've got like a whole scene and you only got 3 lines out before they got called cut. They're going to move everything around. You're going to go back to your trailer. You're going to come back. Now the scene is in the different direction. Now you're going to do the other 3 lines in the scene. So it's just like, it was a very different world for me. Even though, of course, like film and television is, or becomes, I'd say, the sort of holy grail, I guess, for actors. Although I was just recently I had a conversation with Sean Gunn about it, by the way. Asked him the question about Kirk, which I will get to later tonight, and that was his answer was interesting about whether Kirk is dumb. And he was saying that like in the theater, and particularly theater schools, like there's a judgment that stage actors have towards the whole like film and television, the world of film and television. And because of that, the particularly theater school training really just doesn't prepare you for acting on film and in television at all. Like we didn't get any of it. I was we were chatting about that, about how it was just completely foreign. So a lot of actors have to actually learn how to act in film and television. Stage actors who had years of training at like top conservatories around the country have to sort of relearn the art form in a completely new context when they go into film and television. And I learned how to act on television and film from doing Gilmore Girls. So what you're seeing here is like a guy who like really, I was went from that perspective, kind of an amateur when it comes to film and television, even though, as I mentioned last night, I got on the show because I was working on a national stage. Like I was working on, on a pretty large, theater stage here in Los Angeles, and the casting director came to see it, right? So I had a lot of experience on stage, but it doesn't always translate to film. It was just, kind of a little weird seeing me in that role and doing that. It was just
you had more than one line.
I had more than one line. I just saw a lot of my little quirks and whatnot. It threw me a little. I'll be honest.
That's fair. So after this first episode, John, at what point did you know that you were going to be coming back?
Well,
because I think you said that like initially you just were hired for the first episode and you weren't sure if that was it or not.
I must have thought that I was coming back maybe later in the season. The episode ends, like that episode ends with them kind of the suggestion that like it sort of feels like they're kind of not potentially going to continue. They're not into the space and whatnot. And it felt a little bit to me reading the script that it was, not going to, that this was potentially going to be like the only thing that we see from at least those characters, the Zack and Brian characters. So anyway, like that was sort of the main thing that I got from the scene, was just like it was just weird seeing myself and seeing a little bit of just an inexperienced actor
To be completely blunt, an inexperienced film and television actor.
Well, you had some good reactions there, and thank you for that.
Meg, Tiffany, Chris, and Tasha are flashing.
Meg, because I know that you're in the UK.
Yeah, I was literally just wanted to jump on and say it was fun to join, but I literally have to be up in like 2.5 hours because I have an appointment, so I'm literally going to hop off.
Oh my goodness. Well, thanks for coming.
No, thanks for like hosting. Like, it was so fun to join. I was determined to stay up for this one because I'm not working. Well, it's today now, technically, because it's 4:10 in the morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun to join, and have fun, everyone, and enjoy the wink winkers if you have any left.
Thanks for coming, Meg.
Bye,
Bye,
Meg.
Meg.
Bye, Meg.
I was just going to say that I think that the line that you had, Brian, as Brian, I thought it was more like a Kirk line, like the deviated septum, like all the women in my family have it. It seems so much like a Kirk line.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like Brian is. It's interesting because so to answer the question about the whole, is Kirk dumb? When I asked him, he was like, that's an interesting question. And then his thing was, he had read an Atlantic article that he sent me that he said, this is the best article I've ever read breaking down Kirk. And it was basically like, Kirk is the man. The name of the article is Kirk is the man child that America needs right now. And he said that.
Did I say man child?
Yeah. And so he basically said that like he thinks that that Kirk is not dumb. He's just a man child. And of course, like the term man child is used in like different ways. I always hear man child more used in the context of like somebody like a Christopher who is emotionally immature. But he was like, no, I mean like man child, like they mean like man child, like an actual little 10-year-old, like an actual little 10-year-old that's in an adult's body. And he said, I don't think that he's a dumb 10-year-old. He said, I think he's actually a pretty smart 10-year-old. He's just only got the experience of a 10-year-old. And I think that Brian's got a little bit of that man-child thing. That's the reason why it felt that way. That line felt that way. There's a lot of that man-child thing with Brian. Not quite so exaggerated as it is with Kirk. But Brian's into like toys, and he's into like he's got a Snoopy tattoo. Just all that kind of stuff, right?
How much like background do you get on your character?
I'm sorry. Say again. Who was speaking?
I just asked how much background information did you get about Brian, like what his story was?
Zero. None. Nothing.
So are you just supposed to kind of take it and run with it however you think, or?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Again, that's just another part of film and television, but especially television, because on television, roles like that, they're just like, sometimes they're written just weeks before. The writers don't really know who this character is, on any real deep level. All this character is right now is just, he's part of a band that was created really genuinely as like sort of background for this other storyline that's happening between Lane and Data. I know that you guys all love the band, and I love the band. Obviously, the band changed my life. But at this stage of the story, talking about it and watching it from an outside perspective, Brian and Zach are not really much more than just sort of a set dressing for a storyline right now. And so, as a writer, you're not going to really get too deep into who that is. And as a director, they're not going to get too deep into it either. And so,
if the actor wants to go deep on that, to figure out some big storyline for who they are, they can certainly do that. I am definitely not that kind of an actor. I'm a little bit more like, you know, I guess I'm a little more realistic. I kind of see what the character was. As I said, I didn't think I was going to last more than an episode. It really genuinely felt like, you know, like this was just a little bit there, and that, you know, that maybe we maybe see them as background filler in another scene, maybe, but that for the most part, this was about Lane and Dave, and that might never need the band to ever be seen ever again. Tasha?
Thank you. Okay. So much to say. So I loved this episode, and I hated not being on the couch because I had so much commentary. Anyway, but what I really loved and what I put in the GIF, I actually DM'd you, John, but I don't think you saw my DM on Twitter, because my GIF was.
I have my DMs off.
Oh, okay.
Mostly just because it's hard to, with the DMs and doing this at the same time.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I put the GIF as Lane and Dave in the part where like you're not going to become like our Pete Best and stuff like that. And I was like, how long have they known each other? And if they haven't known each other for super, super long, then they're more smitten with each other than I think they even know. And it was very apparent when Lane was getting her hair dyed that like she was so smitten and like she was a goner. And I really love that because you don't really see Lane like acting like that. And Lane even said in the episode that like, yeah, like Henry, but that was like more like puppy love, and she didn't really get to spend any time with him. So maybe if she did spend time with him, real time with him, maybe she wouldn't have liked him. Who knows? But the fact that like she now has like a guy in her life that like she knows kind of well, and that she has like so much in common with, and that she now can actually see like, excuse me, like, oh, this is what a first love is type thing. And I thought it was really cute because you always see Lane in this kind of like the structure of like her mom's super strict and she doesn't really get to do much, and she got grounded severely and couldn't leave her house and stuff like that. So it's good to see Lane in a different light and to see her like kind of going all gaga over a boy and just doing like normal like teenage girl stuff and things like that. So that was really sweet because I mean I just love Lane and Dave anyway, and I wanted to make a comment but I couldn't because it's not in the same season. So I'm gonna wait till it actually happens to make that comment. So, but someone's probably flashing below me.
Jean, I see Jean flashing. Does anybody have a sense for who's next? Why don't we do Jean and then we'll do Sherry after?
That's fine.
This was okay. So hi everyone. This was like one of my most like favorite episodes of Lane, just because I'm Korean American, and it was just so awesome to see representation on screen. But it was also so much of what I grew up with, like the strict household and dyeing my hair to rebel, and then like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, it's gonna like upset my parents, and then like dyeing it back. But it was just so nice to see it. And
wait, did you do that? Did you dye your hair and then dye it back?
I have.
For that reason, in order to hide it from your parents?
Yes.
Did it work? Because I cannot imagine. Did it really work?
Yeah, because I didn't bleach my hair all the way. Like I didn't go all the way blonde. I went to like a lighter brown, kind of close to what I have in my profile picture. So it was easy to go back to black. And my natural hair isn't really dark black. It's like a really dark brown. So it was easy for me to hide it. But because my aunt is a cosmetologist, my mom knew.
That's funny. That is funny.
And Rory is very like, the Rory and Lane duo is very similar to my best friend that I grew up with since 4th grade. Like she's a redhead, and her parents were a lot less strict than my parents. And it was when we were growing up, and even when we were in like college, she'd always be like, your mom's not gonna like freak out. Like she might get upset, but she's like gonna be fine. So it was really nice to see that. It just kind of brought back memories from my childhood and younger adult years.
That's awesome.
I love it. Sherry.
I was just surprised that during the episode when Lorelai is going through Luke's closet, she pulls out the shirt and she says that Buffett fans are called Buffett heads, but they're not. They're parrot heads. I'm surprised nobody.
Totally true. That is totally. I know that because I'm from South Florida, so I actually knew that, and I was like that. That was something that I thought about as well. Like they're not called. They're called parrot heads.
I'm a little bit of a parrot head, so I caught that.
That's
I think it was just like it maybe flowed better.
Oh. So wait. So I'm gonna. So I want to ask the group, just like sort of throw it out there. What was your impression of well, what was your impression of my arrival? Did anybody feel that way about the voice? Did anybody sort of feel like his voice is a little different than in later seasons?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't notice it.
Not the first time around, but after rewatching it, definitely you can kind of tell, but it's not like an annoying thing or anything.
Well, particularly that line, the last line he has, or find a space in Hartford.
It didn't sound
right?
like you were. It didn't sound like you were going through puberty. If that's what you're asking.
Everyone's laughing because now you can all hear it. Right?
You're just trying to be cool and demonstrate that you're worldly because you're in the Hartford circle.
Yeah,
I don't think you were like.
I'm just talking about that raspiness that I'm doing. Hartford. I don't know. I just don't do. I just don't do.
Man.
I don't do that later.
In Hartford.
I don't do that later in the series.
That's
I don't
for
think.
No.
Shelly,
you know,
Shauna are flashing. Shelly and Shauna.
Oh, I just thought you sounded like you were trying to overly sound nasally just because of the deviated septum comment or something.
You know what? I bet that is.
You know what? I thought
that's true. That's what I thought.
Bet that's what it was.
Yeah.
That tracks well.
You know what? You all just like that. That must have been what it was. I bet I was trying to. I bet. I just finished telling you I'm not one of those actors that goes real goes really deep into this. But I bet that's exactly what I did. I bet I read the script and I'm like, deviated septum. I'm gonna spend some time to really get that deviated septum.
Very much.
That's what happened.
You're a professional.
And then when I saw it, maybe I was just like, ooh, that sounded weird. And I've just all these years I've been sort of living with that fear of seeing it again and feeling as weird about it as I remember feeling when I saw it. I don't feel, obviously I am much younger than I am today, but I also kind of was afraid that I was going to see myself and be kind of and then just look at my own current self in the mirror and just be like, oh my God. But I wasn't really, that didn't really bother me all that much. I didn't feel like it was that drastic. But also I think that over these years I've been developing this complex, and maybe I've imagined everything in a much more exaggerated way than it actually was based on how I felt about it when I saw it the very first time. Because seeing it now, it didn't freak me out nearly as much as I thought it was. I didn't look at myself and think I now currently am the oldest man alive, and I didn't think that the voice was horrible, but I definitely noticed it. And I'm glad you all noticed it. But I'm also glad that you guys made that deviated septum comment, because I really wouldn't have thought about it until you just said it.
And we still got more Brian to see.
Well, I know that Brian doesn't do that stuff later on. I know that he doesn't. Oh, here's something fun that I think that you guys will appreciate. So I mentioned yesterday that I wanted to talk about Adam Brody in the scene. So when we were shooting, as I mentioned,
the process of the process of making film, very different from theater, where everybody gets their close up, you know, like the cliche, right? Of like, am I getting my close up? I forget who says that.
Well, guys, I gotta go. My dad's here, but I hope you have a lovely evening, and it was fun to see Brian's big debut.
Absolutely, Hillary. Yeah, check tomorrow about the password for the memento that I'm going to be dropping a little later.
All right. If anyone, Sherry, can you DM me that? I think we're friends.
Sherry's falling asleep, so her meds are killing her. She's leaving. Tiffany's in charge of making sure I get it. So if I get it,
no problem.
I will, Hillary.
Oh, thank you, Tiff.
Good night, Hillary. Good night, Sherry.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so everybody's getting their close-up shots, and it's not. This is actually going to surprise some of you. This is actually something kind of interesting. Although I will not say if there are any members of the cast of Gilmore Girls that did this, but like, you don't always act with your scene partner. Sometimes it's just not possible based on the way that all of the like cameras and lights and whatnot, the way that they're shooting you, it looks like you're speaking to somebody, but you're actually standing in front of all of this equipment. And so your scene partner, the person who you're supposed to be speaking to, is not there, or they're hidden behind a bunch of equipment. You can't see them. And in a lot of cases, they just didn't stay, you know, they like, you know, just they left, and you're actually performing with the assistant director who's reading from the script. That happens sometimes. It didn't happen to me ever, but it does happen sometimes. But in that scene, I was standing opposite Adam, and he was my, you know, sort of in my line of sight. He did stay there, you know, for my scene, so that I had somebody to act opposite, which is very considerate. And he was doing something that was really, really interesting. There was a camera, when the camera was on him, I then also stayed as well, so that he would have somebody to see, and I was doing my lines there while the camera was on him. And whenever I was doing my lines, he was making all these weird faces, like almost kind of like making fun of me a little, like you know, like kind of making fun of my weird like quirkiness that I was doing. And the camera was just shooting all of that. And what I came to realize, and you know, he'd been working in television and film for longer than I had at that point. And what he was doing was he was giving the editor a bunch of giving the editor shots of him doing like interesting things, making interesting faces, even though he didn't have any lines, so that they would have footage that they could, if they needed to, like edit in there. It was really fascinating, and it was kind of a little bit of an epiphany, because at first I didn't really know why he was doing that. Like, why is he making all these weird faces while I'm doing my lines, you know, while I'm doing all of this? And I realized like he was getting his close up, and even though he was not speaking, he was still giving the camera some interesting things for the editor to work with.
Brilliant.
That's really cool.
Isn't that interesting?
Because sometimes you're staticking out on speaking for me. I'm sorry.
Oh, I am. I'm sorry.
No, I was asking if you can mute, because sometimes background noise.
Oh, I see.
So, John, your first day on set, was that your first day that you met Adam and Todd, or had you done any of your auditions with them?
I did my audition just before Todd. I think I had this. I mentioned this in one of the recent events. Maybe it was in Mary's event, where I talked about how he auditioned right after me,
and I could hear him in the audition. I could hear them laugh, like rolling over with laughter at his. I mean, it's funny because I'm watching it now and I'm thinking like, man, I remember them really laughing hard at all of that stuff. And I didn't really, there was nothing in his scene that I thought was like really like laugh worthy. So he must have done something really interesting in that audition room. And he came out, and as he was leaving, I was still standing there, and I was like, you got that role. And he was like, really? Oh, you think so? And I was like, yeah, you got that role. Like, definitely you got that role. And then, of course, I saw him on set for the first time since the audition, and I was like, see, told you got the role.
So they didn't need to see the three of you together, like to see that you guys meshed, that it worked.
No, not at all. And this is why this is what I mean when I say, like, you know, they were not intending for the band to become what it became on the show in this first episode. There's just no way they imagined that they were going to have an arc, a real arc for the band, that they would grow into that. I just can't imagine that was the case. They may have, maybe Dan, who was in a band and loved that, like really loved the idea of maybe we could turn this into something cool, you know, at some point. But, you know, in the writing of this episode, we were, and I don't say this to be like, you know, to downplay the band in any way, or to, you know, to sound derogatory about the band. I really just think that it was truly, at this stage, it was set dressing for a storyline, and that storyline is so clearly Lane and Dave Rogalski, and I think that that's really cool. I'm observing that as a viewer, not being on the show, just thinking about it from an outside viewer. I'm watching that, and I'm just kind of like, oh, that was a cute little scene, and those are some interesting little characters. But if they had never been ever seen again, they would have been like the brother and sister in that Manticore episode. Like, really? No, I mean, I'm not. I mean, they really would have. If they had never shown up ever again, it would have just been a quirky, interesting little scene with two characters that nobody remembers more than just like, oh yeah, those two characters, right?
But I think that speaks to the chemistry that you guys had. I think that they could see that and could see that they could take it further.
Maybe so. I think that, like, you know, Todd and I, definitely our chemistry got a lot better, and we were, and still are, really we kind of are those two characters, like in terms of our relationship. Like we like, you know, we kind of like needle each other and do a little bit of the Lenny and Squiggy thing with each other still to this day. And I think we were already kind of doing it on set, and they might have seen that. They might have gotten a sense for it. Like I said, you know, good writers are observant of their actors. They can see not just on camera or, you know, in the episodes, but they're observant of those actors on set, and they kind of get a sense for who they are, and they start to write to them. Like, I mean, yeah, we're already seeing that they want a certain thing out of the Brian character if the Brian character were to grow any bigger than it is in this episode. But that really kind of ratchets up to, like, you know, a much higher degree when you get into like other seasons and you know, you learn about the Nightlight and you learn about the Futurama collection and all of that kind of stuff. That's like, you know, at that point they really sorry, spoilers, but you know, they at that point they're really like kind of writing to the strengths of the actors, because I'm kind of nerdy like that. I mean, look, I created a mementos mechanic for this project. You know, I told you I used to collect comic books and baseball cards. All of that is Brian. So I didn't tell them any of that. They just kind of could sense it, because I think good writers are just like, their antennas are tuned to that kind of thing. And Todd is got a lot of himself in that character, like a lot. And of course, Gil. I mean, you know, Sebastian has a lot of himself in Gil. So anyway, my big impression about Keiko in this episode was how fast
she spoke. This is the fastest that Keiko has spoken so far in the entire series. And it just reminded me of how like blown away I was by how good she was at that. She was just so good at the fast pace speaking while also still filling it with like all that color and layers and, you know, and having different, you know, different intonations. Like, you know, you would think that if you're going that fast that it's just going to be a completely monotone speech, but she just makes it so layered while also like just rocketing through it. And I remember just being like, wow, she's really good.
I'm gonna take the wall. Yeah, like I think I mentioned before, if not, I'm gonna mention it now. I like Lane is like one of my like top 5 characters, and has always remained in the top 5 in the how many years that I've been watching the show? 19 years. And yeah, like I like watching it again, it's like, how many words a minute did she say in that whole scene? Like when Dave is pushing her out of Sophie's, and she was like, I can't remember all that what she said because she was talking so fast. I was like, my goodness, I think this is like the fastest we ever heard her. And so like, yeah, like that was really cool, and like just speaks to her as an actress and like how good she is and how she can like take something that might just sound monotone with somebody else and just make it seem like so effortless. Because speaking that fast, like I speak in like my normal life kind of in a fast pace, and I'm out of breath sometimes when I talk. So the fact that like she did it so seamlessly where you couldn't even tell if she was like having trouble breathing speaks volumes about her as an actress. So yeah, I really like that. But yeah.
I remember being very like nervous around Keiko in that first episode, like the first time working together with her. And we actually, you know, we rehearsed that London Calling. We went to a studio before the episode to like rehearse it and actually get it well so that we could actually perform it there. And I don't know. I think that it's actually possible, very possible, that I was actually playing my bass in this episode, because it was the first one. It was the very first one. And so I definitely had to learn the frets, right? It's all live. So if I wasn't playing it, there was somebody right off camera playing it. I don't remember there being somebody off camera playing it because it was a very tight space that we were in. And I mean, you know, it was my first role and it was my first time on television. So I have to imagine that I prepared like crazy. And we had spent a lot of time in that studio working on that song. And so I worked really hard on that song. I remember really working on that bass line, and I don't think it was a very complicated bass line. So it is totally possible. I'm going to actually talk. I'm having lunch with Dave next week, Dave Rogalski, the real Dave Rogalski, not Adam Brody. And I'm going to actually pose that to him. I'm going to ask him if he remembers whether he was playing or anybody was playing in that very first episode, because I'm thinking that it's possible that I was actually playing this very first one, but that like as it progressed, it became too difficult for me to do it, or maybe they were like, it's just not good enough. But that's possible. And I mean, I was harmonizing. Like the song sounded good. I mean, that is something that I will say that was like an impression that I had. I did not remember that sounding as good as it did. Like I think we sounded really good in there. I was harmonizing that vocal.
You guys did sound great. And I was going to ask, did Keiko know the drums well enough at that point that it was her playing?
She was 100% playing the drums. She was 100% playing the drums. And they had sent her to drumming lessons. Like they gave her drumming lessons. And actually, you know, now that I think about it, going back to the question about whether or not I thought that this would come back again, there is something that I now remember that I was just reminded of. When we first met at that studio to rehearse, I remember Keiko like kind of making a little opening speech to me, Todd, and Adam, and I almost said Sebastian, but he's not there. And she basically said like, hey guys, so they've been sending me to like get, you know, to do drumming lessons. This is something that they clearly like, you know, have put some investment in, you know, like let's be awesome. Let's be as awesome as we can be, because if we're awesome, then they'll bring us back, or they'll do more with this. And I remember that she was like, what's so cool about that in retrospect is that she was already a regular on the show. So she didn't have any worries about whether or not she was going to continue to be on the show. What she was talking about was, I don't want this storyline to go away. I really like this storyline, which is really cool in retrospect. So maybe I did think that there was a possibility that we were going to be coming back.
So it's such a great story.
Hey guys,
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm heading out for the night.
All right.
I will be seeing you guys tomorrow, or hearing from me tomorrow, I guess.
No problem.
Happy Anne's been flashing.
I'm gonna actually, while we're chatting right now, hey everybody, while we're chatting right now, I'm gonna actually activate the memento for this particular episode, and I'm going to activate it, but I'm not going to tell you the password. I'm just going to activate it for now. I'm going to tell you the password eventually, but it's going to be active, which means that if you want to try and guess the password, you can do so. And I have a feeling
Bring it on.
I have a feeling some people are going to guess it, but I have a feeling that not as many people will get it right, and we won't have the same kind of ridiculous, just everyone doing it at the same time and slamming. But
it has something to do with this episode, right?
That said, I expect that there will absolutely be at least two people who will get the same number. So your numbers will all be correct by tomorrow morning. Probably they'll be correct by 10:30 tonight, because that's the next thing that I'm going to do as soon as this is over.
It has something to do with this episode, right?
I'm not saying anything, but I am dropping it right.
No, I'm talking about the memento. It's going to be this episode, right?
The memento is this episode, and it has just been activated. So if you go into that detail page, it is activated. You're going to need the password in order to claim it. I'm not telling you that password right now, but we've got some smarties. We got some smarties in the room. I'm guessing somebody's going to get it.
Kathy Ann's been flashing for a while.
Kathy Ann, please. I'm sorry.
You wanted to talk about Luke and Jess, and I wanted to mention, how is Shane at work and in the closet?
How is what? How is she at work? I mean, that was kind of ridiculous. And actually, I hadn't even thought about it until you mentioned it, but that is funny. Does anybody have a theory of how that happened?
I have a theory.
I have one too.
All right. Well, my theory is, I have two rules when I watch Gilmore Girls. One is never question two things. One is time and one is money. And if you never question time and you never question money, everything is right in the world. And this is definitely one of those examples. You just can't question it. I honestly think when they wrote it, maybe they didn't realize they were going to be the same episode and just threw it in there, because it doesn't make sense, but it's also, there are so many other times where time doesn't make sense too. Don't make yourself crazy and just go with it. That's my answer.
I agree with that one.
Mine is, well, I mean, think about it. When Luke and Lorelai came up to, so Luke can change, you see Jess walk into frame. Not going to talk about him adjusting his pants because that's not appropriate. But when someone made a comment when the scene was actually happening, where you could hear the door open, like creak open, like Shane was trying to see if she can have an out, because she was in there, full on in there, while all of them were upstairs. And I think like, I don't know. And maybe right after Luke and Lorelai left, she just like booked it down the stairs and out the door, because like if you remember in the end of season 2 where Jess is upstairs and Luke was like, how did you get in here? Like, I've been downstairs the whole time, I would have seen you, type thing, because obviously there's no back way unless we don't know about it. So like, I don't know, maybe it is timing, but I think like honestly she was just there the whole time, and then once they left, she found an out and just like booked it.
That's what I was gonna say, that she heard them come in and she was probably just like, oh, I need to get out of here. I am not gonna be in here if they come back, or she just didn't want to get discovered. I never really thought about how she could be in 2 places at once, because I just assumed she left right after they came in.
Same.
And everything in that town is like 2 minutes away from each other, so she probably just went back to work.
Right.
Can we talk about the Stepford Wives and Lorelai?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I think it was so unnecessary. I don't know. It just seemed so odd.
I loved it because they reminded me of every mom in my high school.
It definitely feels like a mom of a different era, though. It doesn't. I don't feel like a scene like that would really feel realistic today. But I don't know. Maybe small town it would. I don't know.
Well, I think there's just like sort of, there's always like, kind of a group of moms that are, sort of running the place and maybe deciding things. We saw that at Chilton as well with the booster club, but like, I feel like there's always a little clique of moms who all kind of dress the same and like have something like, it's very big, like Big Little Lies or, like something like that.
Not to, I mean, Laura's still here and she's in Provo. So, I mean, I think she can kind of agree with me, or maybe she won't, who knows, that like there's places all over America and all over the world, but I see it in Utah because I'm not from here, where you can kind of see like the typical like Utah mom and the kind of like same haircut, or just like, like where they're from just based on like what they like, their outfits and stuff like that. So I think it's just like a thing that like everywhere has, not just like TV shows, because like I see it in New York too. New York has it too. But yeah, I don't know. Laura might disagree with me on this, but
no, I agree. I feel like based off, I think Utah definitely has that look that you're talking about. And then also just based off the location, like I remember when I was visiting San Diego, I felt like there's also a kind of a different look there, or like Santa Cruz, kind of there's a look there. So I totally agree. I think it's just that kind of stereotypical look. And I think they captured that pretty well in the episode as well.
I agree. I think that those moms are realistic, unfortunately. But what bothered me is that if they don't like the questions that are being asked, then why don't they say, okay, guys, class, we're here because we're talking about careers, or, let's keep it, like, redirect the conversation. Don't just let Lorelai get pummeled with all these personal questions. And then it's like they're mad at her for being truthful and answering them. They were in the room too.
And like the brain like that focus, and now she was there in that room. Like, why didn't she just steer, like Rachel said, redirect the conversation to what it originally pertained, which was like careers and like leading ladies and something inspirational, right? But she just sits there and then she's just like trashing out Lorelai. It's like, you did this to yourself. Like, the jokes write themselves here, right? But I digress.
I was waiting for Luke to like step in and say something when they all like bombarded her. I was really surprised that he didn't say anything, because usually he's very like quippy and like,
Oh, he found it too funny.
Yeah, I thought too that he probably enjoyed watching her squirm, because she loves to do that to him. But
Okay, so my mom was super, super young when she got pregnant with me, and I'm from a very small, very conservative rural town. And of course, I don't remember when I was little, but she was kind of shunned. And then when I was in high school, I mean, the families that live in my town have been there since the beginning of the town. So the whole town knew who my mother was, how I came into the world. There were classmates of mine that weren't allowed to like speak to me or like hang out with me because, oh my gosh, she belongs to that mom and we know that family's history. So I think their reaction to her was kind of realistic. And my friends asked me like super uncomfortable questions that was none of their business. And sometimes like people would, you know, whisper and stuff when we went into places together. So I think that part of it was kind of realistic for a small conservative town.
I grew up in Miami, Florida, just a massive city. So I would never have seen anything that resembled that. It looked very, I mean, it was funny, but it felt a little like 50s, if that makes sense. I mean, I thought it was fun. I thought it was very funny. I thought it was really great, like a great little moment. It just didn't strike me as realistic, but that's because I grew up in a big city.
I think like with Stars Hollow being such a small town that like nothing, it's kind of like, if anybody's seen Pleasantville, the movie with Reese Witherspoon, she like that great movie, but I compare it to a lot of things because nothing's ever like Pleasantville, and even Pleasantville wasn't even Pleasantville. And I think like Stars Hollow kind of has that pin to it where it's like nothing ever goes wrong, and if anything goes wrong, it's like quickly fixed with a cup of coffee or a donut or something like that. And I think like the Stars Hollow moms kind of like don't like the fact that like Lorelai's not the typical like Stars Hollow mom, PTA type mom. She has that like edge to her and stuff like that, and the fact that like she didn't, there's a reason obviously why she didn't like redirect them or something like that. I mean, she was caught off guard severely, but she's not gonna like shy away, like she said, like that doesn't, I'm not the person that gets cringy over like a subject like that, and she's gonna answer them because like why would she lie to people about like how she like led her life and things like that. So
I thought it was interesting, or I just think it's interesting that like these are kind of the first, I guess, aside from Mrs. Kim, who we know through one of the only real like kind of non-Chilton kids of the town. This is like the first set of moms that we're sort of seeing in all of Stars Hollow. Stars Hollow to me is like, it's Babette and it's Mrs. Patty and it's Luke and it's all these like quirky, odd characters. And you forget that like, no, there are like, you know, it's that the town isn't just made up of those characters. There's also like families and kids, and Rory was going to a public school and whatnot. And I think that was kind of interesting. It was like the first. That was the first. I don't know if we'll see more of that in the series, but that was like the first time that like Stars Hollow felt a little bigger than it normally does.
I guess I found it ironic, like that they grew up together. Like Rory was there since she was younger, and wouldn't this have all come out before then? Like it seems kind of weirder that that now it's coming out. She doesn't even go to that school anymore. Like wouldn't that have been like a situation? I'm thinking that earlier in her life, while she was actually there at the school.
Yeah.
Well, she never had to give a speech before, so.
Well, maybe
I asked her, and it was really fun for them to get the inside of Lorelai's opinion. And the other moms are probably going to be jealous no matter what, no matter how it happened, because, they weren't asked to speak in front of students, so they're not remarkable like Lorelai. So I think they would have picked a fight no matter what, no matter
how known the rumors are, whatever the town knows about Lorelai. It just was inevitable.
And look at how, so Lorelai is kind of a larger than life person compared to these moms who all look the same.
For sure.
And then her daughter is extraordinary.
Oh yeah,
So
and
this
beautiful.
single mom, you know, who managed to produce this outstanding child. So their minds are all blown, I'm guessing.
I think they were gonna fight no matter what. The soccer moms or whatever you call them against Lorelai.
I think, well, Rory was at school with their kids. Like, I'm telling you, it was talked about, it was discussed, but not in front of Lorelai and Rory, because their children had to exist in the same world. Well, now that Rory's gone, they don't have to play nice with her, and at all, this was their opportunity to let her know, like, I think they think they're better than her, but at the same time, you're right, they are jealous of her because in their mind, she did something wrong that they don't want for their children, but look how successful she is and look how great of a mother she is. And she does have an extraordinary child. But while Rory was with those kids, it was talked about just behind her back. And now they don't have to play nice because their children don't exist in the same world.
Let me just say, this password's hard to crack, man.
This what?
I'm literally trying everything I can possibly think of.
Really?
Yeah, everything.
I agree.
Like,
I started
something's not
writing
working.
down things that I was trying.
That's why I do so quiet.
Yeah,
I can't figure it out.
Does capitalization or spaces, can you give us like hints on that?
Yeah, can you please? Considering I've written down pretty much everything I can think of.
Well, how about this? It's not a password. This one is a passwords.
Oh, sweet Mother Mary.
So there
Is it
can
all
be
one?
spaces.
There can be a space in this
Oh,
one.
then I probably could have gotten it like 5 minutes ago then.
I mean,
it's
like
I still had a hard time. I still have a hard time buying that scene. It just felt I love where it takes it. I mean, I love that last scene with all of the, like, you know, with Deb and all of the moms. I think that was really cool. I just thought that the high school scene, I just couldn't imagine the high school students being that, like, asking that.
I totally agree.
I heard someone say woo. Did someone just get it?
That was my
Diana.
My wife. She said on the first try, she just went, "Woo! I got my memento."
I got it too. Wait. I also got it.
my wife is like,
I got it. Here.
My wife is so excited right now.
But I literally, I can name off everything that I've tried when he said there was a space. Yeah, I've been trying everything. Same here.
Yeah.
somebody so I can go to bed.
Yeah, because I have to give it to Amy. So
it's good to hear that all of you are well, that you knew what it would be with the space. There are some folks like my buddy Sheev, who probably is like, give me the password.
It's what I think it is.
Anyway, but somebody here was said that that's true, that somebody my friend Sheev claimed it. You claimed Sheev, you claimed the new one, the
what the hell?
Tasha, he's never seen the show. Oh my goodness, he did. So he got it from the episode. He got it from the episode.
I just needed a space. I was.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, whoever
that was the first thing I tried without a space early on. Man,
if I would put the space in, I would have been like I would have gotten it earlier.
Yeah.
Okay,
I thought
I really have been trying everything related to the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's related to the episode.
I know, but I literally every single word that I can think of. I've been trying for like 15 minutes now.
Who was it that said that their mother was a young mother as well? Who?
Kendra.
Me,
Kendra.
Yeah.
So I guess like that, you're saying that scene sits okay with you because that was something that you did experience, that like high school kids were that forward and asking about that thing. It felt like a weird place for them to be asking, like in that setting. Just seemed a little odd, but
yeah, they
Oh.
never
I got it.
approached my mother. They never would, like, never ever. But they approached me with really weird, like, and they made weird comments, and they, of course, would never have done that in front of my mother, and they never would have felt comfortable approaching her. Like, that was off. It would have been more believable if they approached Rory and asked her.
it just felt like it was necessary. That scene was necessary to get us where we needed to go, which, you know, the real payoff was that last scene between Lorelai and the moms, you know, and you there's really like few ways to get you to that scene than to just do it like that. It's just, it's a little nitpick, you know. It's not that big a deal. It's fiction, you know, so we can do whatever we want. But that just sort of stood out to me as like, I'm not really totally buying that.
Can we kind of talk about, because I've like, we've jumped kind of to it and then kind of out of it, but the last scene, not the last, yeah, the last scene where, well, it wasn't the last scene, but the scene where Luke and Jess are talking, and you can kind of tell like who they're talking about, because it kind of like flows between like Lorelai and Rory, and you kind of can't tell who they're talking about, but when Jess gets mad, you know exactly who he's talking about. So can we kind of talk about that whole thing where he was like, if she doesn't want to be with me,
yeah,
then fine.
That scene was awesome. I mentioned that I would love to chat about that. Not necessarily because I like, you know, have anything, you know, anything mind blowing to say about it, but like I mostly just wanted to have a conversation around that, because I just thought that was a really good moment. That was a really cool moment for the Jess character. Once again, another moment that has me kind of like my feelings are changing about the Jess character, and that particular scene sort of got me there. For me, like the theme you'll get with me is that like whenever I feel like a character is like kind of showing me their vulnerable side, I tend to start to like them a lot more.
Yeah.
And that, as well as the scene in the last episode between him and Rory at Dozie's, are two that have me like starting to really like that character a lot. Anyway, so why don't we chat about it a little bit? Let's hear what all of you folks have to say about it.
Can I start?
Certainly.
Okay, so I really like that, like they're writing.
Actually, you know what? Can I stop you for just a second? Since it's 9:04, I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer. This is a big night, so anybody who wants to stick around, I'll be here probably for, I'll stick around for at least another like 20 minutes or so. But there are folks that are getting tired. There are probably some folks on the East Coast that are just like, oh my goodness. And let me just give you the password now.
Yeah, because I just gave Charlie it because it was like
so
midnight.
you need the password because some of you just have to go to sleep, and I'm very sorry that it's gone over. It's just, these events will happen. This is a big night. It was really fun. But actually, I'm not going to give the password. Let's, on the count of 3, let's everybody who's gotten the password just say it. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Deviated septum.
With all lowercase.
Hey, John, for some reason, it's not working for me. Like, I'm putting in the right password, and I've like hard shut down the app.
Spell it right.
So
I've done all of that. It is not working.
It's deviated septum.
After septum.
Yeah, make sure there's no space after septum.
Yeah,
there's not.
Make sure you spell deviated right. I turned off my autocorrect so it would stop putting.
I am 100% doing it right.
So it's all lowercase, deviated, all lowercase, space, septum, no space after septum.
Our number
that's
25.
what I've got.
Literally was the first thing I tried.
30 minutes ago.
Also,
Same
here.
Same.
And it's all in one word. Deviated septum space. Okay, wait. Deviated space septum.
And
Yeah.
all those space.
Yep.
I'll spell it. I'll spell it out for you, just in case, just to make sure. D, all lowercase, DEVIATED space SEPTUM, no space.
I would have gotten it probably like 5 in if I would have just thought about that.
Let me see how many people have
I'm
that.
pretty sure I did try that and it didn't work.
It is not working. I even just logged out of the app, shut it down, signed back in, and it still isn't working.
Let me see if it works for me, because it's very possible that they've all been claimed.
It only says it's in the 50s right now.
Yeah, yeah.
53.
Because I was 25 right after Sabrina said something. I mean, I've been right after her, but yeah, I was 38. It's only at 53 right now.
All right, let me see.
I've been putting it in right for the last like 10 minutes.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure I tried it even like with the space and everything, because I was like, he may trick us, and it didn't work.
I just claimed it. I just claimed it. I got it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
great.
I see where yours
maybe
went up glitching.
Like when after I logged out and logged back in, it's when I go in to claim it, it was already like pre-populated with deviated septum. Like,
yeah.
And anyway, yeah, it's not letting me claim it.
Make sure there's no spaces like in the beginning.
I did.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like
I'm really not a stupid person.
No, I know. I'm trying to. I can check. I can take a look. I mean, I'll make sure that your account claims it. That's very strange, though. Has anybody else experienced that at all?
Just that I ended up with
Someone
a
else
space
did.
after septum for some reason.
Yeah, Andrea said that her friend Anne is not able to claim it either. It's not working for her either. Type it in correctly.
Not sure if it'll work, but if you go into maybe a private browser, make sure all your cache is clear and stuff like that.
Oh, that could potentially be a problem. Well, but it would be. It's on your phone, right?
Needs to be in the app, right?
Oh no, and Anne got kicked out and can't sign back in. After she tried to claim it. Oh, I'm sorry, Anne.
Considering there's only 75 of them, I'm worried that Amy's not going to get it. Yeah, because 77 were claimed of the first one. Yeah. And I was 25, and then it jumped from 25 to we were in the 50s literally 2 seconds ago. Well, since John claimed his, nobody else has. Like, it's been at 54 for like 4 or 5 minutes. Okay.
And
but maybe
when
when
happened to me when I did the first memento, it logged me out and then it said I didn't have an account, so I had to do another one. But it was really weird, and I had to just create my same email and everything, but it sent me a new PIN and everything. I had to restart.
What was funny about like, when I got
anytime you get signed out of the account,
it'll send you the PIN each time, but it should still be your same account. Like if you put in like a description and your picture, it should stay the same.
Yeah, if you log out of the app, if you get kicked out of the app, all you have to do is just sign back in. It'll send you a PIN. Just sign back in with the exact same email address, and it can recognize you, and it'll send you the PIN, and you'll have everything back the way that it was. I'm sorry that this is not working for some folks.
Hey, there was bound to be glitches. I mean, this is the first time it's first run, so.
What's also weird
Okay,
is
I've
that,
just logged out for the 3rd time and gone back in, and now it's finally allowed me to claim it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, I actually
I wasn't doing anything different. I don't know. Anyways.
I just saw it come back in. What's also really strange is that there are a couple of folks who tried to claim it, and it actually, there are a bunch of, yeah, I'm gonna have to clean this up. Anyway, you think your ID numbers, what you have, your ID numbers, they will likely be different by tomorrow, just because clearly the system for numbering all of these is well, clearly I have to work on it. And then there's just something going on where in some cases some people are submitting it and it's not registering that they actually claimed it. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I'm glad that you guys got it. It seems like two people actually claimed it while I was looking at the database. I saw two come in. So one of them would be yours, Nikki, and the other one somebody else. So it sounds to me it was just like an issue of the app needing to sign out of the app and then sign back in.
Awesome. Can we talk about the adjusting?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, bye guys. Bye.
Bye everyone. Or bye Charlie. Sorry, not bye everyone.
Bye everyone. I think like with what I was saying, what was I saying? Oh yeah, that they're slowly, and they did this with Dean when he was first in, but he was first in like 2 or 3 episodes into the series. But with Jess, I feel like they're starting to write him in more as like has more like substance and more weight, because when he first came in, he was this troublemaker that was just a transplant from New York, and he was just there to cause trouble and havoc and on the town and things like that. So he didn't have too much weight for him. But then obviously once he met Rory, there was obviously going to be, we knew that he was going to be there a little bit like longer and that he needed to have more of a story. And so I think like with the earlier what episode was it? Was it last night's episode that he was like being more vulnerable? The episode where it's him and Rory in Dozie's, and he was like, you tell me not to say anything, very flattering, like you go off to Washington and nothing type thing. And now him kind of being vulnerable in front of Luke, which is the first time we've ever seen this, where he's like, the girls I like don't give a damn about me. And he's like, I'm not just going to be some puppy and just follow her around and just be at her beck and call. Like, if she doesn't want to be with me, fine. Then like, and we all knew like he was talking about Rory because like he wants to be with her. He thought that they were going to have something after the kiss because the kiss always means something. And so he's a little hurt the fact that she went to Washington, didn't say anything, and then came back and just all of a sudden just went back to Dean like nothing ever happened. And so, but it was a little bit hurtful of what he said to Luke about like, at least I got a little self-esteem type thing. But I mean, they both needed to hear it.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. It gets intense there, but I like how well, 2 things. One, I think what he told Luke was true. I mean, that's how we've seen Luke react. Pretty much Lorelai says jump. He jumps, and they got in the fight, and she says, she apologizes a million times. It's 4 times, and then he eventually lets her off the hook as Mimi. And so I think that what Jess said was pretty true, and I think Luke knows it too. You kind of tell it on his face too. And I like how they're writing Jess to kind of make Luke look at himself a little bit. I think they're starting to have a relationship where, you get close to somebody and it kind of, you start looking at your life differently too, and they can kind of point things out that you're scared to notice or are denying. And so I really like that part.
And Jess is not the type of person that will let someone just like walk all over them. So I think Jess is like kind of giving that to Luke, where it's like, dude, like if you like someone, don't just be their like doormat type thing.
Yeah.
Respect is trying to tell Jess, you can't just be with someone and treat them like dirt. And that's not going to make you look good. You know, whether or not it's a rebound or not, that's not a good look. And I always love that little back and forth with him, like giving this fatherly advice, like, hey, you can't do that to women, you know, whether you're in a bad mood or over or not over someone else, like you just don't treat people like that. So I really enjoy seeing Luke taking this like fatherly role with him. And that was one of those moments where I really liked hearing him tell him the advice.
I mean, my impression from that was not that I didn't get the impression that Jess was treating any, I kind of just got the impression that the two of that the worst that really was going on there between him and this other girl, they just both didn't really like each other all that much.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Luke said you can't treat a girl like dirt. So I was just kind of like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. No, I see what you mean. Yeah, I just didn't get a sense that I didn't get a sense that Jess was treating her like dirt. I mean, yes, it was funny that
Jess was just being like a high school guy, you know.
Well, I mean, he just more than anything, he just didn't seem really care.
Correct. And there's nothing like, you know, he didn't really break any rules or laws against that. Like, you know, if he's not that interested and he's just taking.
No, and also, like, I mean, I thought that his explanation of it made sense. Like, yeah, I'm not really that into her. She's not really all that into me. Like,
He treats me like crap too.
Yeah, we kind of have like a good thing going, you know, which I just thought was like
fun. They're having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought that just Jess's perspective on Luke and how he his perspective on Luke and Lorelai as a sort of mirror of his feelings for Rory. I just thought that was really, really interesting and insightful of Jess, and that moment was just like just a really cool moment where he's just saying like, yeah, like essentially saying like, yeah, I like the type of girls that I like, they don't like me, you know, which is the same for you.
Well, yeah,
except
same Luke, exactly.
It's the same for you, except the difference is that I'm not going to go chasing them around, and I'm not going to go like fixing their house and doing all these things that you do, you know. But I don't know how honest that is either, really.
Crashing their car is not a good angle either.
No, that's definitely not a good angle.
Well, no.
I don't know. Does anybody else have any thoughts on it?
Yes, well, I really don't like the fact that he says, you know, like, I don't care about Shane. I don't even know her last name, right? Like, we're just using each other. Like, to me, that doesn't reflect well on him. Like, okay, sure, you want to be with Rory and you can't be with her right now, but that doesn't mean that you just go and disrespect another human being because you can't be with the person that you want to be with.
But I just didn't see it as him disrespecting her. I felt like there was like a symbiotic, like, we're just hanging. We're just hanging. We don't really need to like each other.
I get where Nikki is coming from, though, because then, you know, if you perceive that, like, Jess is disrespecting Shane, then by proxy, in a way that you're also kind of disrespecting her in a way. And it seems like this girl really gets a lot of hate. And that's what I've noticed as well, like online, like she's sort of vilified in a way. And we don't even get to know the girl, right? Like we just know her first name, barely her last name, because Jess is like, I don't even know her last